we go to Shirley's video, I will first establish a bit of a context of the specific reclamation project that is um, focused on her video, which will come after my short presentation, just to establish what it is. So in the Philippines, San Miguel Corporation is very well known for its beer. Beer, very good beer. And currently, they're known right now for environmental groups, fisher folk, and of course from rights group for this big project called the Aerotropolis project that is located in Bulacan, Bulacan. So the picture that you can see here is that a rendered master plan from their architecture partner. So that's how it will look like uh, for them. That's how they envision this project to be built. So quite modern and quote unquote beautiful. Very modern. So what is the Aerotropolis project of San Miguel Corporation? Well, first, it is a 740 billion peso project spanning 2,500 hectares within the coast of Bulacan. So 740 billion pesos is around 13.6 billion US dollars. So it's not an insignificant project. It's probably one of the biggest projects to date in the Philippines, and it is aimed to be the largest airport in the Philippines that can accommodate 100 million passengers, and it will have 4 runways compared to the main airport in Manila. So within that 2,500 hectares, 1,693 of it is dedicated for the airport itself, and 807 hectares is dedicated for an AeroCity complex that they will build alongside the airport. So that will be where the exports, manufacturing, maybe some people will live there near the airport. I don't know yet the very detailed plans of that complex, but that's how it is divided. And if you can see here in this picture, it will affect, or it has affected the barangay Taliptik in Bulacan, and along with it, it's 7 sitios. So that's how big it is, for a rough scale. So it's quite big. And it is part of the Build program of the former Duterte administration, and it is continued by Ferdinand Marcos Jr. So aside from decongesting NAIA, or Ninoy Aquino International Airport in Manila, it aims to also bring world-class airport facilities and services. It aims to contribute to the country's economic growth through tourism, through the air traffic, investment, increases in exports and construction, and the promise of 1 million jobs. That's what they say, that they will give 1 million jobs to the people who will be part of the project. Now, next, so the airport is just actually a part of a wider range of reclamation projects in and around of Manila Bay. So currently, there are 22 reclamation projects planned in Manila Bay. There are half of that, according to the Philippine Reclamation Authority, is already underway. And those 22 reclamation projects have already secured environmental compliance certificates from our national environmental body, the Department of Environmental and Natural Resources, or DENR. Now you can focus your eyes here on the 3 companies here, because for this project, some notable proponents or development actors involved in this project is, of course, San Miguel Corporation, which will fund most of its construction and, of course, its operation when it's fully built. Now, it has received strong backing from the Dutch government through outrageous Dutch state business, who extended the export credit insurance to Boskalis. It is a Dutch dredging company, and the And the export credit insurance is valued at 1.5 billion euros for its land development. So Boscalis will be the one who will do all the claiming, who will do the dredging in the for the airport. So there. And currently, as of December 2022, it's the land development for the project is almost 50%. So halfway there already. So now they can start constructing the foundations of the airport because half of the land is now there. Now there. And they target 2027 as the year for the project's full operation. Now, next is, so for those who are not familiar with the term development aggression, it is used by indigenous people to describe projects or activities that violates human rights. So in this case, of course, it is not just indigenous people, but of course us. It applies to us, civil society organizations, farmers, and fisher folk. So in the picture that you can see here, it is just a picture of a coastal home in Bulacan that is affected by the project. Now, why is it development aggression? Well, first, because the fishing community in the Philippines, especially in Bulacan, is one of the poorest and most vulnerable to climate change impacts. Okay, so the project, the area is already vulnerable to flooding, and because of climate change and the worsening typhoons, storms, the more rain that is being thrown to us here in the Philippines, it will just get worse for them. Now the project has cut lots of mangroves, so as we will go to that later on. And third point, the San Miguel Corporation took advantage of the COVID pandemic to speed up the project's progress. So when I conducted a workshop or a climate change training in Paombong, Bulacan, they were the recipients of this kind of social inequality that is very prevalent, not just here in the Philippines, but everywhere around the world. So during the COVID-19 pandemic here in the Philippines, we had the longest lockdown, and not just any kind of lockdown. It was a militarized lockdown. We could not leave our homes for almost a good year. So imagine how that will affect, or how that affected the fishing community there in Bulacan. So they can't go out, they can't do their livelihood, they can't trade, they can't sell their products because everything was restricted back then. And because of that, San Miguel Corporation saw that as an opportunity, saw that very bad circumstances brought by the pandemic to offer families, communities 150 to 200,000 pesos in exchange for their homes and their livelihood. So for me, when I heard of that, I saw that San Miguel, that's how they value a person's life, or a family's worth, 150 to 200,000 pesos. And when you're in their situation, you don't have stable livelihoods, don't have income. You will take that, and they did, because the 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 pandemic just worsened their situation. So they had to take it. Where will they get their food? Where will they get their resources to survive? And then another note is that they discovered that the project has been expanded to 3,000 hectares instead of 2,500. So I don't know where the other 500 hectares will be for, but yeah, it will include more rivers, more mangroves, more fisheries. Now, moving towards the environmental impacts, the picture that you can see here is just one of the few instances of illegal cutting of mangroves in the area in 20. Now, for the environmental impacts, first is the eradication of mangroves, which will pose, a big problems not just for the environment, but of course for the people's ability to cope with climate change, with flooding, because mangroves are a natural sea wall. You know, they are the ones who absorb lots of the impacts of strong winds, of surges, of currents, and of course flooding. So if you remove those mangroves, it will become a threat multiplier, not just for the uh, not just the community, but of course for us who live nearby, because it will have compounding effects when you remove these natural systems that protect us from the devastating impacts of climate change. Next, mangroves serves as a habitat for first migratory birds. Okay, so every year more than 50 million water birds travel through the Philippines. It is one of the world's biggest migratory bird flight paths, according to lots of environmental groups. And of course, birds in the area are a very good indicator of good environment, like frogs. When you see frogs in your football fields, it's a sign that it's a good it's cleaner here because they can complicate here. So first, if you remove the mangroves, the birds will lose habitat, and of course, for migratory birds, they will lose their stopovers. So of course, they have to travel for days to be able to move from one place to another. Imagine you're driving for 7 to 8 hours without any stopovers. What do you think will happen? You can get a I don't know, accident because you're tired, you're hungry. So you can, it poses lots of risk. So the same principle apply to migratory birds. If they lose these mangroves where they can rest, they can feed, and then they just move and fly for days, most likely they will die from starvation and and exhaustion because they don't have a place to rest. Next, of course, is the impact on aquatic species, and mangrove serves as a very, very rich nursery area for fish. And if you remove their habitats where they can also get food, they will also migrate. They will also move to new places. And again, if you move to a new place, to a new country, you're different culturally, socially, it's going to be hard for you to adjust. So again, that principle applies to the aquatic species who migrate. Moving to a new environment, they are not used to it. Most likely, they will suffer and then they will die. So that will lead to further biodiversity loss. And there have been accounts of further water pollution in and around the area, even though for those in the Philippines here know that Manila Bay is has lots of pollution from plastic, from factories. The current construction activities of this airport project has posed further water pollution where fisher folk cannot see the clear waters anymore. It has become redder, muddier, and of course, again, um, removing these vital mangrove species, which Bulacan has 22 species of, it will just, again, have compounding impacts on floods, especially, of course, that will threaten the lives of people, which we do not want. So, for a short recommendation, of course, we know that the project is now ongoing. So, we just have to continue our pressure to stop these projects, to get the foundations of our basis that this project violates these laws and these rights. We need to use that. We need to elevate that to a higher level or to use that for our movements and campaigns to stop the project. Then, if of course, if that peaceful way doesn't work, we need to also do the legal remedies, the legal ways to stop this project. Because again, it's a massive project that will just pose lots of threats that we don't know yet. So we need to act, as environmentalists, we need to act or air caution the preventive and then precautionary principle of environmental laws. Then last is to bring labor, environmental, and human rights issues to the international level to seek greater support to stop the project. I noticed that the current administration, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., is very sensitive to how the international communities sees him. So compared to the former Duterte administration, he has, quite a smaller chance to cave into international pressure. So because of course he cares about how the how the international communities sees him, and we have, I think, this can be a basis that he vetoed the special economic zone in Bulacan, which entails the entails the rights to the companies to to control that area. So we have established that precedent that he can veto these kinds of laws. So he has again a quite smaller chance compared to the former administration to cave into international pressure to stop